The company's grown really rapidly over the past couple of years. Perhaps you could tell me about some of the challenges you've faced over those years.
Sure. So I think we're now just about 500,000 customers, and we just hit 200 employees. And the biggest problems over the last recent months at least have been scaling operations, scaling teams, scaling culture. What works at 50 people breaks when you double to 100, which breaks again when you double to 200. So all of the ways of working, the internal communication styles, the processes, the tools we use, just aren't fit for purpose after you double them. So every 3 or 4 months you end up having to refresh and renew all of the ways you'd spent so long honing to make them fit for purpose.
Okay, and on the point of company culture, so I imagine when you're creating a culture for kind of 5 people, you're all very driven and focusing on the same kind of purpose and mission. Yeah. How difficult is it to maintain that when your team does triple and quadruple?
So culture is something that's really important to me personally, and particularly my co-founder Jonas is something that we work really hard on. And I don't think culture is necessarily the ethos of the founders or the first 10 employees. I think it's something that evolves organically over time. It's sort of the collective personalities and working styles of everyone who works at the company. So it's a really kind of evolutionary thing. It's really important to look for when you're hiring people. Are they going to bring something to the culture here or detract from it? There's also a point of sort of reinforcing those values that are really important as people join, and so almost putting them through an indoctrination course at the start so they really know what's important here. And those are values, things like customer centricity, just really making sure we're building something that people want. We're not too focused on financial products. And secondly, transparency, both internally and externally as well. So we're very, very public in a lot of the stuff we do. We publish our product roadmap, things like emails internally are transparent, so you can go and follow an email thread with the supplier to see where it's got to. But I think in particular things like ambition and sort of the long-term mission aren't something that necessarily everyone's totally on board with, and so that's something we work really hard when people come in to make sure that they understand where we're aiming. We're not like a big company where 3 or 4% growth year over year is what we're aiming for. We're growing 800 or 900% a year. We want to continue that as long as possible.
Okay, so thinking about next year in particular, what are your goals for next year?
So next year, we're currently at 500,000 customers. We'll be growing to 1 million and beyond next year, and maintaining the same great customer service and the app experience is really important. And in the next few months in particular, it's the migration from prepaid to the current accounts. So shutting down the old hot card cards and getting everyone a new hot card card, which is a full current account with account number and sort code and direct debits, and you can pay your salary in and all those good things. It's really important that we move from a really fast-growing app to a viable, sustainable business, one that actually generates revenue and is eventually profitable, so it can be sustainable.
And a lot of people from the outside would look at you and see that you've set up this tech company, your customer base is growing rapidly, your headcount is growing rapidly, you've raised a great amount of money from VCs. They would look at that and think, he's really successful. But what does success mean to you?
I think there's an unhealthy tendency in tech startups to look at these vanity metrics, these things that don't really drive like long-term value. And I've certainly been guilty of this. It's things I've mentioned today. It's things like how many employees do you have, how much funding have you raised, how many are you at your Series C or your Series D? Those kind of big milestones. It's really easy to point to and say, look, I'm succeeding because of that. But they're not. Those are not measures of success. That it's almost admissions that you can't do it on your own. We weren't able to solve this problem with just the 10 of us and the funding we had. We had to go out and sell part of the company to get more cash in and hire more people to help us. I think ultimately building a sustainable business is one of the goals, something that can last for decades. But secondly, the thing that drives me personally, that gets me out of bed, is it's the feeling of making something people sort of want and use and sort of appreciate, I guess. The feeling of standing in line at the coffee shop and watching someone in front of you pay at the counter with their Monzo card and hearing the barista kind of ask about it and having, just overhearing that conversation, that back and forth between two people as a silent observer. It's almost as if I'm behind a newspaper kind of listening in. That feeling is incredible.